Just hours before talks began in Saudi Arabia, Ukraine launched what appears to be its largest drone attack on Russia since Vladimir Putin's invasion. Russian officials say they shot down hundreds of drones, but at least 3 people were killed and more than a dozen hurt. The University of Maine System says its funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture is temporarily on pause. A system spokesperson says the University of Maine received a forwarded email that appears to have originated from the USDA's financial office. It directed USDA staff to withhold funding both to the University of Maine System and Columbia University. According to UMS, the email states the pause is temporary while the USDA evaluates potential follow-up actions related to prospective Title VI or Title IX violations. Last month, the USDA began a Title IX compliance review of UMaine. The system says the USDA's questions largely focused on whether biological males could compete on women's sports teams. The spokesperson says its athletic programs are in compliance with both state and federal laws, as well as NCAA policies, which do not allow for athletes assigned male at birth to compete in women's sports. UMS says it's not aware of being the target of any Title VI-related investigations. UMaine says in the 2024 fiscal year, it received nearly $30 million from the USDA for research and extension. The school says that funding directly benefited Maine's farmers, fishermen, and foresters and provided other crucial benefits to the state.